Hey everyone, and welcome back to Battleborn. It's time for a new build. This one is for Miko, and I call it Let the Kunai Fly. Now, if you're the type of Miko player that is only interested in healing your allies, you spend most of your matches with a heal beam on someone, keeping everyone topped off, well then this is not the build for you, because what this build is going to give you is versatility. Whether it's damage or healing, whatever your team needs, you're going to be able to provide it. Now, while I was playing Miko, there were two situations that made it so I just really disliked playing him. And what this build is going to do is alleviate those situations. It's going to make it a little easier to deal with. So the first one is having bad teammates. Now, when you're focused solely on healing, when you have bad teammates, whether they can't kill the enemy players or they refuse to push objectives, whatever the issue is, if you're just healing, you can't do anything about it. All you can do is top their health off, because if you try to push forward, you're just going to get yourself killed and you just don't have the damage to kill anyone, so you're just stuck. And with this build, you have that damage capability, so if they're not doing what they need to do, you can just go off by yourself and see what you can do. Maybe you can win the match, get some kills in, whatever needs to happen to get the ball rolling. This build will help you do it. Now, the other situation that made me dislike Miko was when you play Miko, you get targeted by everyone. Everyone knows you're a healer and they're looking to put a stop to you. So if you're focused on healing, you rely on your teammates to save you when you get attacked, and they don't always do it. So in that situation, you're either going to die or you need to run away. But with this build, if they attack you, you attack back, and you can definitely kill them, or at the very least get them to run away. And if they fail to get you over and over and over again, they're eventually going to give up and try a different tactic, and you'll just be free to do what you want. Alright, so if this build sounds like something you would like to play, let's jump into it and I will show you how to set it up. So we're going to start with the Helix options. So level 1, we are going to go to the right with Breathe Deep. That is going to increase the slow effect on the cloud of spores. It's going to make it's great for keeping people away from you and keeping them from escaping. So it works in both cases, and it slows them to a crawl. Makes, if you're trying to hit them because they're escaping, it makes it super easy to land those kunai on them, and it makes it super easy for your allies to wipe the floor with them. Level 2, we go to the left with Regenerative Aura. That is going to cause our biosynthesis to spread to all of our nearby allies. Now, a lot of healing Mikos, they go with Heal Thyself because they want that sustain from using the healing beam. So this adds some area healing that most Miko healers won't have, which is really nice. It lets you do damage while you're healing, which is really important for this build. And we do lose some sustain because we won't be healing ourselves as much. But to make up for that, we're going to get some regeneration gear. Alright, level 3, we go with Swift Draw on the right. That's going to increase our reload speed by 50%. At level 3, it's not going to make much of a difference because our attack damage and attack speed is still super low. But once we get higher level and get that gear activated, it's going to make a huge difference. Level 4, we go with Sporeshock on the right. That's going to make it so if we hit our enemies with our Cloud of Spores projectile, it's going to stun them for 2 seconds, which is super useful. Now just keep in mind that you don't always want to stun. So sometimes you're going to miss on purpose because you'd rather have the slow, because the slow affects an entire area, whereas the stun is just single targets. So just keep in mind, assess the situation. If you want the stun, hit them with the projectile. If you want the slow, make sure you miss them and just get it close to them. Alright, level 5, we go to the right with Pandemic. It's going to spread our poison effect to everything around what we hit. Really great for clearing minion waves. It's good for uncovering stealth enemies if they're standing next to other enemies that you're hitting. And it's just some nice extra damage, so it's good to have, and it's really the only choice for this level. The other ones are terrible, as far as I'm concerned. Alright, level 6, we are going to the left with Probiotics. That's going to increase the biosynthesis on ourselves, give us a little more sustain, because we did lose some from Heal Thyself, from not taking Heal Thyself, so that helps keep us alive. Level 7, we go to the right with Bladeslinger. It's going to increase our attack speed by 20%. This is when your damage starts to become very formidable, because you should also have your gear either all activated or close to activated. So your damage, your attack speed, it's through the roof. Plus with the level 3 Helix, you've got that insanely fast reload speed. You're going to be dishing out some pain at this point. Alright, level 8, we go to the right with Residency. That's going to increase the duration of the biosynthesis. That's going to increase our sustain, and it's going to increase our area healing because our biosynthesis is spreading to all of our allies. So it's extra AoE healing. Very nice. Level 9, we go to the right. Resilient Strain. That's going to increase the duration of Cloud of Spores by 6 seconds, which is insane because it only lasts for 4 seconds normally. So it's up to 10 seconds now. And like I said earlier, it slows people to a crawl that step into it. So it's incredibly useful, and now it's down for 10 seconds, which is an insanely long time. And then level 10, I go to the right with Vicious Strain. It adds a damage to my Fungus Among Us, which is the ultimate. Really, really good damage. Good for taking out melee that are on you. I typically use the ultimate as sort of like a save. Like either my teammates need some serious healing or I'm getting low. I throw down that ultimate, and that saves the day. And if it's a melee on me or them, that's gonna start doing some major damage to them. So very, very useful for our level 10 Helix. Alright, so those are the Helix options. Let me show you the gear. Now, as usual, I've got an expensive set and I've got a cheap set. So the expensive set is for Incursion and Meltdown. The cheap set is for Capture. Alright, so the first item on my expensive set is the Survivor's Regrowth Serum. That's going to double my health regeneration. It's going to give me 7, which gets them up to 14. And then if I survive for 3 minutes, it gives me another 4.2, getting my health regeneration to 18.2 per second, which is incredibly useful. It just adds more sustain to Miko, makes him just a pain to deal with. And it's really nice when I'm attacking. I've got, if I get lowish, I got biosynthesis running, plus I've got that high regen, so I can just focus on my attacks and try to kill whatever I'm after. And then the second item, of course, the Eviscerating Endoskeletal Graft. Attack damage, attack speed, always good. And then the third item, I go with this Vow of Zealous Fury from Rendane. Attack speed, critical hit damage, and attack speed stacks every time I use an ability. And Miko is using abilities all the time, so those stacks get shot up real quick. Alright, and then the cheap set, I've got this 7 health regeneration per second item for 420 crystals. I've got a 0 cost Antiquated Aelfrin Warblade for 8.4% attack speed, which lowers my maximum shield strength, which Miko doesn't have a shield naturally, so that has no effect. And then I've got these unstable Exogreaves, which add movement speed and increase the recoil, which I don't care about recoil either. So 2 free items, and then the health regeneration item for 420 crystals. Alright, so that's how you set this up. So let's jump to some clips and I'll explain to you sort of the level progression on this build. Starting off at level 1, you're pretty much relegated to support. You can push forward if anyone isolates themselves and see if you can lay in some damage with your kunais, but just be prepared to fall back if you take too much damage or attract too much attention. Your small body frame will help you to avoid taking too much damage and buy you time to do more damage yourself, but unless you have teammate support, the best you can really hope for is to get the enemy to stick around too long and catch them with a cloud of spores so you can finish them off. The more likely scenario is you'll be hanging out just behind the front lines, keeping your allies topped off and making sure to get hits on the minions to get that assist experience. Level 2 gets your biosynthesis to spread to allies, which will make keeping up multiple people much easier. At level 3, you pick up the reload speed Helix, which is a decent boost to your damage. You'll likely still not be killing anyone outright, but if you get that regen gear activated, you can usually outlast people one-on-one to force them to flee, unless it's someone that can lock onto you like Cleese or Ambra. Those two are very dangerous for Miko, since he has a small health pool and they can't miss with their attacks, so really keep your distance with those two. Cloud of Spores is always great for creating space, so keep it handy if they're on the other team. It's also good to keep Cloud of Spores ready if there's melee characters on the other team, or especially assassins like Pendles or Deandy, since they'll get at least one hit on you when they come out of stealth. If they come out of the shadows, drop that spore, get in a quick melee, and get some space, or straight up just run away from them. Level 4 gets you the stun, which is incredibly handy for all kinds of situations. If you're supporting the front lines with heals and you've got a Boulder or a Galilea living on their shield, you can hit them with the spore to expose them and hopefully your team can burst them down. If a melee character gets in your face, you can smack them with the spore and start laying in some pain. And if your allies are paying attention, hopefully they can get them dead before that stun wears off. If someone is trying to escape and your teammates are chasing them, then throw that spore over their heads, hopefully stun that runner, and it's going to kill them almost every single time. And even if you miss, as long as you're in the right area, it's going to get that slow on them. They probably won't get away. As I mentioned earlier, just know when you want to stun and when you want the slow, because you might want to miss on purpose. For example, if I have two melee characters attack me, I probably don't want to stun one of them and leave the other free to attack me. So in that situation, I'm going to want to miss on purpose, get that slow on both of them, and then I can create some space or just flat out run away, and they're not really going to be able to do anything about it. So just know when you want the stun and when you want the slow. Level 5 is a big level because you get your poison to spread to all targets near the one you hit, and you get your ultimate. The poison spread is going to make leveling up so much easier because one hit on a minion will tag the entire wave for assist experience. Prior to the poison spread, leveling on Miko can be a challenge if it's a tight game because it's just sometimes hard to get an opportunity to hit those minions when you're healing your teammates. With the ultimate, you can save it for emergency situations or you can drop it down whenever it's available to act as a healing station for your team. The cooldown starts as soon as it's used, so if the enemy team is bad about destroying it, you can keep an ultimate up at all times, but I basically just use it for emergencies. Level 6 is just going to increase your survivability by increasing your personal biosynthesis effectiveness. It's great for keeping yourself alive, whether you're being aggressive or defensive. Level 7 is a big game changer, and if you've got all of your gear activated with full stacks, then you've reached max damage potential. With everything activated, your damage is quite significant, you've got great survivability, and of course, you've got your CC with Cloud of Spores stunning or slowing so you can really take people out 1v1. At this point, if I see anyone out of position, I just rush right for them. I'm fairly confident taking on just about anyone on the roster, unless they're a highly skilled player, and by this point in the game, I really should know if they're good or not and worth the risk of attacking. If your team was lacking in damage, you've essentially just become another full damage character, and you've still got great healing with biosynthesis and the ultimate while you do your attacking, so you're not neglecting your healing duties at all. I can't tell you how many games have changed dramatically the moment I hit level 7. The attack speed boost is really a big deal in conjunction with this gear loadout. Level 8 increases your biosynthesis duration, which is just another increase to your healing capability while putting out max damage. The more healing you can do while attacking means it's just that much more likely that you won't actually have to resort to the beam because whatever you were fighting is dead or retreating by the time you might need to consider healing someone directly. At level 9, you get the huge increase to the duration of Cloud of Spores, which is an amazing area denial ability. It was always nasty, but with the 4-second duration, it wasn't that big of a deal to avoid the area briefly. but at 10 seconds it completely denies entry unless they want to risk death, because that slow is nasty. Level 10 gives you huge damage on your ultimate, which comes in very handy for melee engagements if you activate it, or you can always retreat to one with a melee chasing you. Well, there you have it, the Let the Kunai Fly build for Miko. I hope you guys like the versatility of this build, and let me know how it works out for you in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.